Good morning, everybody. Peter Smith here again. Got into trouble yesterday with my wife. I'd had some of those crabs I caught yesterday, and I had them in the old shells and guts in a 2-gallon bucket, and I had a towel put over it. Forgot to throw it out down the beach, and got a bit of hot tongue and cold shoulder yesterday afternoon for these smelly crabs out in the garage. I hadn't thrown away. But it's all gone now. It's been recycled down the beach, and won't be any more problem. Now, I had Paul Bix. Don't know who Paul Bix is, but he asked me to comment about Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux's event being cancelled in New Zealand. Now, as you're probably aware for the accent, I'm an Aussie and been in New Zealand a time or two. No, lots of Kiwis. Most of them have gone to Australia to work. Yeah, lots of jokes about the Kiwis by the Aussies. New Zealand's a bit like Scotland, and Aussies sort of like England, and the sort of rivalry. It's the same sort of people, but you got the big place and little place, and there's lots of jokes about Aussie and Kiwi jokes. So just give you one. I'm not very good at jokes, but how do you give a Kiwi? That's a New Zealander. How do you give a Kiwi a small business? Well, you give them a big one to start with, and then it becomes small, because they're not much good at their business and so forth and so on. But anyway, that's one of my poor jokes. I do apologise for it. And to all the New Zealanders out there, I really love you, but I had a little bit of a dig, because you always have a dig at us Aussies, so there you go. So, Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux, I follow them. I've watched a lot of Stefan Molyneux on YouTube, and I agree with him on an awful lot of stuff, even though he's not a Christian. I'm a Christian. He's not. Dear me, I've got something coming up here about... There we go, fix that. Stefan Molyneux's got some great stuff on his YouTube. And so's Lauren Southern. Now, the thing about Lauren Southern is she got refused entry into the UK under the Terrorism Act. And you look at this sweet young lass, she couldn't hurt a fly. She's a lovely, lovely Canadian lass, but she's not politically correct. And she was over in England one time asking hard questions of people, and she got on the "we don't want you" list over here, and under the Terrorism Act. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But anyway, the venue refused to take them. Yeah, they'd signed an agreement over in Kiwi land, and yes, you can come, and it was sold out, as always with all these things, sold out. And right at the last minute, boom, it's cancelled. It's all cancelled. And Paul asks, you got any comments on this? I say, well, hello. If you are in a politically correct country, and New Zealand would probably take the top of the pick there for me. Now for you that don't know me, I've been lobbying at the UN for the last 23 years. I go about 6 times a year, so if you do the maths, it's 140, 150 UN meetings. I usually go for 2 weeks, sometimes up to 6 weeks, but usually 2 or 3 weeks. So I've seen a lot of UN meetings. I met delegates from all over the world, and I've listened to debates and negotiations and speeches and blah-de-blah till it's just run out my ears. And I have to say, if I had to give an award for the most politically correct, neo-Marxist, left-wing, radical feminist country in the world, it's the Kiwis. They win hands down, absolutely hands down. Now, the Aussies allowed them to have some events there, but not the Kiwis, not the Kiwis. Also, back in the 1940s, there was a bit of bother out in Southeast Asia. It was called the Second World War. And this chap called General Douglas MacArthur took off from the Philippines in a motor torpedo boat and got down to Australia, and the Aussies welcomed General MacArthur with open arms. You've got no idea how well he was received there, and put in charge of all the military forces in Australia, and Roosevelt had him in charge of a whole lot of the army there from the US side. And the Aussies appreciate the Americans. They recognise that the Americans saved Aussies' bacon in the Second World War. Now, if you go to Australia, and you'll see an American military warship in any harbour there, the leading citizens get together to invite the officers to their homes, and the red carpet is rolled out every time. Now the Kiwis, on the other hand, don't necessarily have a lot of brains, the Kiwis, a lot of them. They won't let American naval vessels land in New Zealand. That's the funny ideas of New Zealanders. They're all nuclear free. So that's a little sidetrack. But now you see, it's cancelled. Now why is it cancelled? Well, I work for a pro-life group here in the UK for the last full-time, the last 23 years or so. And we used to try and get meetings to discuss with parents what sort of sex education was going to be taught to kids, even primary school kids. Sort of LGBTQ alphabet, whatever, you know, there's all different sorts of it's hard to explain it all. And they want to teach it to primary school kids. Here in Scotland, they even want to let children work out their gender. It's horrendous. 5, 6 years old. It's unbelievable. Now, there's this lady who used to organise these meetings with parents. And you'd organise a venue, and you'd tell people it was on, and you'd turn up that evening or the day before. Oh, cancelled. It's cancelled. Because some people who didn't agree with what you are going to be talking about would phone up the owner of the venue and threaten them that if they let you come, there'd be a boycott, and there'd be this and that and the other thing, and you'd be financially crushed. And in New Zealand, you see, this Lauren Southern's not a feminist. And New Zealand is the top feminist country in the world. And I'm not saying that as just some throwaway line. I was at a big conference in Utah about 15 years ago, and there was this New Zealand lady there, and she was explaining how the feminists have totally taken over the courts and the political system and everything in New Zealand. So there is no way the people there, that the political elite in New Zealand is going to let little Lauren Southern come and say she's not a feminist and she doesn't support feminism. And Stefan Molyneux, he's not a big feminist either. So these people are anathema to the political elite in New Zealand. And they might not be so encouraging about the Muslims either. So the Muslim immigrants in New Zealand, they're not going to like it. So there's any number of people who could have objected and threatened the owners or the political establishment. Just had a whisper in the right ear to say, better cancel these two. That's what they do. So, see, back 2,000 years ago with the Christian church, there was no big church buildings. Because if a whole bunch of Christians got together in a special building, specific building, a church building, the Roman authorities would have rounded them all up, and they'd have been all off to the circus to be fed to the lions and this sort of stuff, and dipped in tar and burnt as candles. Now the liberal elites are not so unsophisticated like that. Now they're more sophisticated. So the system now is, and they're more sophisticated than their Stalinist predecessors. I mean, with Stalin off the Gulag, see, if you want to read a bit of Solzhenitsyn, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, you know where this Marxism, politically correct stuff ends up. Not pleasant at all. They're more sophisticated than that now. It's just, if I had a government job and was speaking like this, I would lose it this afternoon. I'd be out of a job. I'd be finished. And probably before too long, Facebook will ban me. They ban people who peaceful people. I'm a peaceful person. I'm a law-abiding person. Pretty law-abiding. I catch the odd small fish, but not too many. And the evidence is always very well concealed. But normally, I try and obey the law. Now, this will pull your change. I've never even had a speeding ticket in my life. There you go. I don't speed too much. But anyway, that's a sidetrack. So Paul asked, why New Zealand? I said, well, why not New Zealand? The New Zealanders are the most loony, politically correct, radical feminist bunch of people in the world. And they got Muslim immigrants too, so can't upset the Muslims. Now I'm not anti-Muslim. I've got many friends at the UN from all different Muslim countries, and I get on fine with them. No problem. And in the UN, it's not a problem. They're good people. They don't like these radical Muslim people that blow up people themselves. They don't go along with that stuff. In fact, these diplomats are targets of these people as well. So, it's only a very small number of these people that are the problem. They only need a small number, So Paul, that's why this event got cancelled, Did not surprise me in the slightest. Now, you've got Milo Yiannopoulos. Now Milo's got some terrible language. A lot of the stuff he talks about is really good, but the language is awful. If Milo could just cut down a few F words and all the rest of it, he'd be absolutely brilliant. He's a court jester. But see, he gets his events cancelled over there in universities in California, because they got the freedom of speech there in the Constitution in America. So what the officials do is when the Antifa thugs turn up and cause demonstrations and mayhem, and the police just let them get away with it, they say, "Oh, we can't afford to have your event because the security would cost too much." Well, you see, if the police did their job and came out and did the right thing with these violent gangsters called Antifa, you wouldn't get problems like this. It'd get sorted. But the police often just sit back and let it all happen, under instructions from the higher ups, of course. And then they say, "Oh, we can't afford the security. It's too expensive. Or we'll have to charge you, $50,000 or $100,000 for the security." That's how they. And if you haven't got the money, you don't get to speak there. So all of these things are an attack on freedom of speech. So it's one of the great blessings freedom of speech. And you see, I was down in London a year or so ago. There was a demonstration about euthanasia, about bumping off the old people and the rest of it, you know, when we didn't want them anymore. And this Dutch chap came up and he said, I was talking to him, he said, we're good in the Netherlands. We're allowed to insult people. And you see, a lot of people, oh, it's an insult. But it makes me feel bad. To the lads, I say, man up, you know. Lots of things going to make you feel bad. And there's been all sorts of ways of shutting people down over the years. Blasphemy laws are one of them. See, I don't like hearing the Lord's name taken in vain all over the place. And sometimes I'll have a bit of a shot at people who do it. But once you get the government involved, well, you see, lots of things can become blasphemy, can't they? Cartoons of certain supposed prophets, you know, you can't do that. And people are so hurt by what people might say. I say, well, grow up. Life's hard. The world's hard. I had a famous Australian Prime Minister said life wasn't meant to be easy. Well, it's true. It's hard. Life's hard. But you see, what's happened to Lauren and Stefan in New Zealand? Not much different to what happens here. And you see, without YouTube and a bit of internet stuff, you just never hear about any of these things. It just wouldn't happen. And you see people, someone also mentioned Melanie Shaw. Now, I had a little bit of look about her. She's a whistleblower on this pedophilia and that sort of stuff, and she's been locked up. I don't even know why she's been locked up. I mean, it's unbelievable when you get locked up. I don't think she even knows why she's locked up. No one else knows why she's locked up. And I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible that you can just lock people up. And it's all secret. No one knows. You don't know. Someone knows up at the top. They just want you put away. Not much different to the gulags, no, except we don't have a Siberia here. Locked up in prison for whatever. And Coulter, she's another one. She's a very provocative speaker. She gets cancelled too in America. You know, I think President Trump's gonna maybe he's been saying, well, we mightn't give you federal funding for your universities if you don't allow these people to come and speak. It's the First Amendment. I get them mixed up. First Amendment, Second Amendment. One's free speech and one's the right to bear arms. Free speech, I think, is the First Amendment. Yeah, big thing in America. See, here we don't have a constitution. We've got sort of traditions and different things and unwritten constitution. But generally we've been allowed to speak our mind. Winston Churchill used to speak his mind and got him into a lot of trouble. See, he would say, this little Hitler chap's going to be a problem. And everyone ignored him. Oh, they all ignored him. Oh, warmonger, they'd say. But he was right. And Britain just rearmed in time. Just in time. And you see, this not letting people have a bit of a talk is really dangerous, because there's a problem, you're not allowed to talk about it. You never get the problem fixed because you can't talk about it. And people are afraid to talk about it. So many things now you can't talk about. Especially if you've got a government job. Oh, you lose your job real quick. Like what they used to do with the communists. A friend in the European Parliament, his parents grew up in East Germany. And if you cross the commies, best you get just a labouring job. If you're a doctor or something, you end up just a labourer. shoveling the brown stuff at the sewage plant and that kind of thing. That's about all job you get. Same sort of thing happens here. So that's my view of why Lauren and Stefan had the venue cancelled. Didn't surprise me one little bit. I mean, I'd been more surprised if they'd have been allowed to have it and it all happened. And I mean, there would have been a lot of people would have been very interested. I believe it was sold out. Everyone was paying to go along to hear these two good people give a bit of a talk about free speech and different other stuff. They're not allowed to. Cancelled. Phew, just like that. So the only way, you know, if like on this sex education stuff, the only way you can do it is you just quietly put the word round that you're going to meet in someone's house. And you quietly meet in their house and you don't tell anybody else where the meeting's going to be. And you pick someone with a big living room or a big add-on at the back of the house and you get 15, 20 people in. That's about all you can do. But you try and get a big venue over something controversial and you'll be lucky. I mean, I had an event some weeks ago and with Prayer for Israel, and they didn't want to put it on the internet because some particular people might have come and caused trouble, and hardly got anyone come along because you just can't advertise it properly. So it's a problem. It's a problem, this sort of stuff. But we need to be wise as serpents, innocent as doves, wise as serpents, and work out ways that we can get the message across. So thank you very much for watching and for your comments. It's been grand. Few more have subscribed. It's wonderful. I've had one person not like me, but hey, you can't win them all. You know, all the rest have been quite positive. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.